Hello everybody! I was going to do a Friday Reads and I think I'm going to talk about something else instead, which is I haven't been enjoying my reading as much as I would like to this year, and I have figured out why, and I want to talk about that. A couple of days ago I was looking at my stats and my ratings breakdowns for this year on Goodreads, which I hadn't really looked at so far, and it shocked me a little bit when I saw that I had read more than 70 books and I'd only rated 4 of them 5 stars. And this is not about how I rate books because there is no logic to my system whatsoever, but 5-star books always have a huge emotional component to me. They are books that leave me with that high afterwards of that was so good, like that rush, and that I think about constantly afterwards, that made me really sad or upset or excited when I was reading them. And I had thought for a while this year that I was feeling strange about my reading, and I think I mentioned that a few times where I said I just felt weird about how I was reading. I thought I was starting too many books at a time or just doing something wrong and I was off kilter. But when I was looking at my ratings, it just struck me that I haven't wholeheartedly loved as many books as I usually do by this point in the year, and I'd also rated for the first time more books as 3 stars than 4 stars. It was still pretty tight, but it is unusual for me. So it's true, I haven't been enjoying things to the fullest extent this year. I don't think I'm reading a string of bad books or mediocre books by any means. I think it's been in my head pretty much, and I had to think about it for a little while about why that might be, and I think I have pinned it down. The first thing is there are really 2 things going on. The first one that I think many people will probably relate to is simply that it feels like the world is on fire. Everything is terrible in the world right now, and since Election Day here in the US back in November, I've felt like every day something horrible is happening in the news, especially since Inauguration Day in January. My emotional capacity to deal with things on a daily basis in the news and everything was just stretched to its limit, and I would end every day feeling exhausted and emotionally wrung out and enraged and helpless. And like, because I can't myself have a huge impact to fight against what's going on in the world right now, I feel like the only thing I can do aside from donating money is like be a witness that I should know what's going on and be educated about what's going on and not be ignorant, not turn a blind eye to what's happening. But that means that I was, and still am sometimes, reading the news all the time and working myself up into knots about those things. And so much of my attention is set aside for those things, and I can't always get my mind off of them and fully immerse myself in what makes me happy in my hobbies and watching a movie or a TV show or reading a book. I'm just always reminded by something I'm doing of what's happening out in the world that I can't do anything about. And I've been a bit better about this for mental health reasons, and because I was feeling so wrung out, I have reduced my news consumption considerably. I have turned off the electronic devices and stepped away and tried to do other things because I needed to. Just mentally and anxiety-wise, it was getting to be too much, and I have to think about self-care like that. But it's still there. So that's been going on. I think that's the thing that many people have experienced, because I think a lot of people have felt really guilty about doing fun things rather than being activists, that we shouldn't be reading or talking about inconsequential things when far, far more serious things are happening in the world. But it's true, you have to continue on with your life. In some way, I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna be probably an analogy that makes people mad, but I feel like my government is terrorizing me, that they are trying to hurt me and they're wearing me down, and that, you know, if they're kind of behaving like a terrorist towards me, that they win if they make me change my life, if they make me change my habits. They want to make people afraid, and if I act afraid, if I give up my routines, if I give up what I love, then they've won. It's terrible to feel that way about one's country and one's government, but that is really, really close to the way I actually feel about things, and I'm not even in a bad position given what's going on. The second thing that's been going on, which is probably right now the more difficult one for me to deal with, that keeps me from enjoying things, is that I've been dealing with a medical issue for the last, oh God, 6 months. I was gonna say 5, but it's really close to 6 months now. I had a thing come up back in November, a couple of days before election day actually, and it's a lot better. I'm a lot better. I am getting very close to normal again, but every single day I have to think about it, and my anxiety is in almost every case triggered by worrying about my health. I'm kind of a hypochondriac, and like, I legit have a medical problem right now. It's an actual thing that causes me pain, and at this point it's mostly calmed down and I'm okay, but I have been going to doctor's visits and going to physical therapy and taking medication for it, and it's impossible for me to not think about this on a daily basis. Like, it actually has impacted my daily life and my physical activity for going on 6 months now, and that has a really emotional toll. I've never had anything similar to this. I've never experienced an issue like this before, where I have this thing that actually has prevented me from doing things for so long. I've had other things happen that have made me very unhappy, but not like this, because I have to think about it every day, and I end up worrying about it every day unless I'm very, very careful or feeling really, really good. You know, I have to take medication, so I think about it. I have to do physical therapy exercises, so I think about it. If I'm sitting for too long, that could be bad. If I work too long in the garden, that could be bad. I can go on a walk and I'm probably gonna be okay, but I'm not sure. It's just thinking about all the time. That makes it hard. So I think both of these things going on that have just made it hard for me to concentrate and to enjoy anything, but especially my favorite thing to do, which is reading, they're kind of on the way out. I mean, I'm going to be dealing with both of these for a long time. You know, politics longer than the medical problem, hopefully, but these things are not going away quickly. Slow, hopefully steady progress. And I kind of want to talk about this because I think that other people have experienced the same thing. Here on BookTube, you know, we're very concerned about, are we reading the right way? Are we enjoying what we're reading? Are we rating things the right way? And like, there's no right way to read. There's no right way to BookTube. It's you know, a unique experience for everybody. But I think there are certainly other people out there who have felt like this, and you know, we can kind of bond. You're not alone. I would like to know that I'm not alone either. I know that there are many people who find reading to be an escape from stress and anxiety in daily life, and I unfortunately am not one of those people. When I am very anxious or stressed, I can't concentrate, I can't enjoy anything. So reading is not necessarily the way that I deal with anxiety. I have, however, found that making videos and being involved in BookTube and working on my social life and such does help immensely with anxiety. So that may be one of the reasons why I decided to do Vita this year. It is working out pretty well for me. So, but yeah, now that I have realized what's going on, and now that I'm aware of it, I can kind of do something about it. I can't like solve my problems overnight, but I can counteract them with other things. And the first thing, the main thing is just I need to be kinder to myself with my reading. I read two things. I read things for the sheer enjoyment, books that I just want to read, like Ann Leckie's new book. Oh my god, I can't wait for that. And then I have the lists and kind of assigned reading that I give myself for the experience, the education, the knowledge. And a lot of those things are like classics or reading the Arthur C. Clarke Award winners. Things that I wouldn't necessarily pick up of my own volition, you know? And this year I have been trying to prioritize my assigned reading very heavily over what I really, really want to read, and I'm just calling it quits with that. I can be very disciplined about doing this, and it works out very well for me. Most of the time, it's how I function in life, and it works out well, but in this particular case, it's unnecessary and perhaps detrimental. So I'm just kind of giving myself carte blanche to read what I want to read right now. No prioritizing, no TBRs, just like gut instinct on a sheer emotional level. What do I want to read next? I do think like I will finish my Clarke Award winners project this year. There's plenty of time left to do that, and I only have like 21 books left to read. It's not that big of a deal. I can do that. But I may be taking books back to the library unread. I may be ditching some things and just ignoring them for right now. And I've already started. I went to the library a couple days ago and I got The Dark Days Pact by Alison Goodman. I love the first book and I was just like so on fire to read this book, but I set it aside and I was like, I need to read my Interlibrary Loans first. Then I was like, Rachel, what are you doing to yourself? Just read the damn book. You want to read the book? Read the book. So I started it. I read like a third of it in a single evening. And it's one of the few reading experiences I've had so far this year where I have literally forgotten the outside world entirely and haven't looked up from the page for 174 pages in a row. It was just amazing, and I'm like enjoying the book so much. It's probably gonna be a 5-star read. I also started reading After the Crown by K.B. Wagers. This is a sequel to Behind the Throne. It's like super fun space opera politics. And I've had this book checked out from the library for over a month and I kept putting off reading it because I had other things to read first. So I just started reading it one day. And it's really good and I'm enjoying the heck out of it. So already I feel better, and mostly it's just recognizing the problem, admitting it out loud, having a plan to deal with it, and then following through on that plan. This is how I want to do things, you know? So I'm feeling better, and I hope that this has maybe helped some people. Like, I think we should talk about this stuff sometimes. We don't always enjoy things all the time, and sometimes we have to figure out why and, I don't know, fix the problem. I like fixing problems. So yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say.